about being first is that you can't eat your biscuit before you speak. It's one of the worst things about this. I'm going to tell you there are 5 parts to a speech. Stand up, tell them what you're going to say it, tell them what you said, and then sit down. Well, for you this morning, I'm going to leave out 2 of those spots. I'm going to stand up, say it, and then sit down. Is that fair enough? I'd like to thank Bill, the Democratic Party, and you for having me here. I'm Ken Robinson. I've lived in Greenwood for over 40 years. I'm a semi-retired insurance broker here in Greenwood area. My wife for 43 years is Barbara Robinson. She works with Jim Catter. And if you don't know what that means, that may be good because that's drug and alcohol abuse. So hopefully you don't know too much about her. You're supposed to laugh on that one. But most importantly, I live across the street from Floyd and Mamie Nicholson. So they've been a good influence over me and my family for the last 30-odd years that we lived across the street from each other. Why am I running for Greenwood County Council? There needs to be some tweaking that should take place, such as taking responsibility for the general welfare of its youth. I don't know if you know this or not, but the city and county council seems to think that it's someone else's responsibility, private entities. It's not. It's our responsibility. And they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're washing their hands of it. I have to read my thing so I can stay on track. Number 1, the city and council should take a bulldozer and at Seaboard Recreation Center and destroy it and replace it with something that reflects Greenwood. It's a shame for what they did, selling it to someone who didn't do anything with it, then she sold it to someone else, but still, it's our and their responsibility to take care of our youth. All right, now I've talked to people my age, which I've been here for 40 years, so I used to play basketball there. Now the gym was built in 1959. Okay? I'm from North Carolina, in Shelby, North Carolina. Theirs was built in 1959. There was a whole lot difference between Hollywood Park and Greenwood Recreation Center, or at Seaboard. I don't know if you know it, but there's not a public pool in Greenwood County. You realize there used to be 2? Seaboard, and where was the other one? Where? Where was the other public pool in Greenwood County? In where shows. Where that fountain is, used to be a public school, a public pool. Y'all didn't know that, but they used to be there. So I used to go there every now and then. Secondly, one thing I really dislike are potholes. There needs to be concerted effort to get these potholes out. I know it can be done. We have the resources. Now, this is something that a lot of citizens of Greenwood County really don't realize it affects them, and that's the gang problem. You ride around this area within a half-mile radius, you see all kinds of gang signs, won't you? But people live on the other side of the town in the Post County really don't care. But it really affects them because you're dealing with youth where this is unfulfilled potential that's going down the drain. It just really is. And we as a people here, we as not just everyone in Greenwood, we don't seem to want to get our hands dirty. And we'll help those kids who show some good light. Greenwood Promise is nice. I was at a meeting and they were talking about Greenwood Promise. Right, it helps the brightest. I said, what about that person that's in the ditch that doesn't know what's in them? So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I said, I won't be here no more than an hour and a half, so I better get going. Now, this could be helped if the school system, law enforcement, and the citizens of Greenwood join hands and provide alternatives to crime. A lot of these kids, let's just be honest with you, now you got babies raising babies. And I know we say it's the parents' responsibility, but those kids don't have parents. So I'll go back to the Bible. We're supposed to take care of the orphans and the widows in prison and those that are hungry and give them shelter. So I'm assuming that they're orphans. I'm assuming they don't have a good parent or parenting in that house. And I say this, don't throw your hands up because you'll be surprised the difference that one person can make. Now, you may have to get your hands dirty, and you may fail a lot, but that one success will make it all worthwhile. That's supposed to applaud on that one. All right. Now, seniors, let me say this. This doesn't have anything to do with voting. If you get a notice in your mail to serve on the jury, do not tell them you don't want to serve. You know the reason that they allow seniors not to serve on the jury? Somebody tell me. Why do they let seniors opt out of serving on the jury? 65 over. Let me tell you the real reason. They don't want your common sense on the jury. Seriously. I've talked to too many lawyers. They don't want common sense on the jury. They want people that they can affect, the people they can talk to, that people will be swayed by their rhetoric. That's the reason that you need to go into court sometime and see who gets on the jury. I saw a young man get on the jury. It was an important case. I was called, but they didn't call me. So he goes on the jury. First one to call, he sits in the jury box like this. That was on Monday. On Thursday, I just go back to see how the case was going. Well, this young man was sitting in the audience, in the gallery. And I asked the bailiff what happened. This young man, two things happened. Number one, he went to sleep in the jury. Secondly, he came home late from lunch. The judge kicked him off the jury, but made him stay in court the whole week and watch the case. Now, I'm going to say this, and one more thing, and I'm going to go. Strom Thurmond says something that is really, 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 really true. He said the greatest civic duty that a person can give is not to vote. It's not serving in the military. It's serving on the jury of your peers. Do you realize in the 1960s, during the civil rights movement, there were all-white juries that found people guilty of crimes. You hear me? But the judge set aside the verdict. So when you get in that jury room, if you've ever served, it seems like something happens. You believe in right and wrong. And they talk about people hanging up a jury. You know how much gall it takes to hang up a jury and you know you're wrong? That really, really, they make a big deal, but that just doesn't happen. So seniors, when you get that notice, do not throw it away. Because like Larry the Cable Guy, you may be the only sane so-and-so on the jury. All right. And in closing, I know y'all don't want to hear that. When someone says that my vote doesn't count, what do you say? When someone says that my vote doesn't count, just yell out. What do you tell somebody if they say my vote doesn't count? That's wrong. Let me tell you how to get their attention. I'm in sales, so you never disagree with somebody. Somebody said, when I sold cars, the price is too high. You're exactly right. Payments too high. You're exactly right. If you say my vote doesn't count, guess what? You're exactly right. Your vote doesn't count. Your vote doesn't count by itself. But your vote, my vote, their vote, it's just like a hand. You got 5 fingers. If you're like this, you don't have any power, but you put them together. Then you have power. So, that's the end of my talk. Do you have any questions? Somebody asked me, please, somebody asked me about Medicaid expansion. Somebody just asked me about it. What do I think about it? Oh, let me tell you what I think about Medicaid expansion. I'm an insurance man, so I deal with people that are elderly. I'm licensed in South Carolina and North Carolina. North Carolina somewhat expanded theirs, but Medicaid expansion really helps those under 55 years of age. Okay? That's what helps, mainly. Now, this is the truth. I'm standing in part of a church, so I'm not lying. One of my practitioners is a state representative. And I asked him, he's Republican, and I asked him, I said, what do you think about Medicaid expansion? This is what he told me out of his mouth last year. Well, Ken, I'm not for it because in 10 years we might have to pay for it. I think that's how they think. In 10 years, the state of South Carolina might have to pay for it. Now, this person here, so for 8-9 years period of time, they could have had something. Now, this is tax money that we paid, right? And we choose not to have it. These positions, $60,000, $80,000, $90,000 a year that you have it. So it's so important that people get out to vote. It's so important that you have, that you really have, this is, he is not exaggerating. These people are crazy. I'm just telling you, because you have some good Republicans that can't be good because they'll get ostracized if they are. Now, one thing about the Democratic Party is that they allow you to think. That's the thing I like most about the Democratic Party. I don't agree with everything that the Democratic Party does, and probably you don't either. But I'm telling you what, the alternative, you know, I like Joe Biden, but the Bible said put your faith in no man. And that's what's happening now. Well, that ends my little talk today, but I know most of you are not in District 4, and I need some prayer for that because demographically I don't have a chance. Racially I don't have a chance because it's 95% other people than I am. But I believe that if you can really let a person know that you would do things in their best interest, they'll consider you as a candidate, no matter who you are. Thank you so much.